All right, welcome everyone to the February 4th Pembroke Upper Ottawa Valley OPP Detachment Board meeting. You'll notice I'm a different face up here today. You'll see why in a few seconds. However, I'd like to start the meeting off with a land acknowledgement. As we gather here today, I would respectfully acknowledge on behalf of Council and the community that the City of Pembroke resides on the unceded traditional territory of the Algonquin people. We thank the generations of people who have taken care of this land for thousands of years. It is with this statement that we honor and respect the Algonquins on whose land we reside. So with that, I'm going to call this meeting to order at 1:02. And with the board's approval, I'd like to jump down to item number 8A of the agenda so we can handle the election of the chair and vice chair for the year 2026. Okay, great, thank you. All right, so we'll start the item off with the election of the chair. I'd like to look around the table for request nominations from the floor. Christine?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Mayor Ron Gervais for chair.
Okay. Ron, will you let your name stand for the position? Great. And I'd like to request if there are any other nominations for the position of chair. Okay, seeing none. One final time, are there any nominations for the position of chair? Wonderful. Okay, so Ron Gervais, congratulations on being elected chair of the Police Services Board for the City of Pembroke. Moving on, we'll move on to election of vice chair. So I'd like to again request any nominations from the floor. Ron Gervais?
I would nominate Christine.
Great. Christine, will you let your name stand for the position of vice chair for the Pembroke PSB?
Yes, I will.
Great, thank you. So are there any other nominations for the position of vice chair? And one last final time, I'd ask for any other nominations for the position of vice chair. Wonderful. Christine, with no other nominations, I congratulate you on being named vice chair for the Pembroke PSB. All right, and with that, I bid you adieu, and we will see the chair, Ron Gervais, assume the chair.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With the meeting being called to order, are there any disclosed pecuniary interest in relation to the agenda for February 4th? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion for the approval of this agenda. I have Christine, seconded by Mike. Those in favor? That is carried. We have minutes of October 22nd of last year. So having been circulated, I'd entertain a motion for their adoption or approval. Moved by Des, seconded by Mike. Those in favor? That is carried. Are there any business arising out of those minutes that folks want to talk about? Seeing none. So that brings us to number 7. Want to welcome the acting inspector. Welcome, and I'll let you take it over from there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First off, I'd just like to introduce Staff Sergeant Tina Davenport. Tina was a successful candidate in the recent Pembroke Ops Manager competition. Tina brings an extensive history with policing and frontline crime. She did police the streets of Pembroke at one point and has roots in the area. So we're very fortunate to have Tina as part of our team, and I look forward to the great ideas that she's going to bring forward to our detachment and this board alone. So welcome, Tina. This is the first meeting without now Superintendent Neufeld. I guess I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the efforts that he put forth to this community and this board and the relationship that he had with this board. So he is doing well, but I know he sure misses this community. I am just the interim. Until the position is filled permanently. The process has closed. It is now going for competition. This board will have a say in the permanent detachment commander, and I believe your chair will probably have some more information in regards to that going forward. And that's all the information I really have at this time in regards to that. So before I dive into the stats from Q4, I just want to go over some priorities for 2026 and what that will look like for Pembroke. And it might answer some questions that may come out of the stats. So with that, our commissioner sets out some priorities every year and for the organization and priorities that we assume. And one of the priorities that he has committed to is bail reform. I did mention this to you, Mr. Chair, but is bail reform. So he has created a program that is called the Offender Management and Apprehension Program. So essentially this program is developed to monitor offenders that are out on forms of judicial release, that are on, GPS monitoring, curfew, house arrest, etc. And it varies in severity of crime. Officers are assigned to this program throughout the province, and fortunately for the Upper Ottawa Valley, we have been assigned 2 officers. We are one of the only detachments in the region that has been assigned 2. So what that does for us is it allows these 2 officers to dedicate their time to bail reform, to monitoring these people, which also alleviates some pressures from the front line, because before the front line was having to do these checks and compliance. The OMAP officers will be working with internal resources such as our court management officers, our domestic abuse investigators, and they will also be working collaboratively with probation and parole, as many of these offenders are a joint effort and they have the same priorities. So I would hope that, we might see on our stats, we might see a rise, and I'll show you where, if there is extra enforcement efforts, because offenders aren't abiding by these conditions. Is it a positive? Yes, because we're out there enforcing it. Negative that, unfortunately they are breaching those conditions, but that is what this program is, to compel them to court if they are breaching those conditions. And it's almost twofold as well. I know our street crime unit has done a lot recently in the drug enforcement side of the house. So many arrests that were made, some of these offenders may be in relation to that are going to be on this database. So, holding them accountable and enforcing those conditions that they're out on, and if they're not, getting them back into the court system. So that's a priority, and like I said, we do have 2 positions, and I will note that it was brought up. It's 2 officers within our detachment from the greater Upper Ottawa Valley, but it is for all of the communities, and we are receiving backfill for those officers, so we're not taking away from our complement. Yes, Christine. Another priority is traffic enforcement. It's no secret that enforcement has dropped across the province since COVID, and the commissioner, maybe the superintendent said it, but he's declared this the year of the ticket, essentially, that we will see extra enforcement efforts. To contribute to that, I have created a position out of the Upper Ottawa Valley that it's called a traffic management officer position. So it's 1 officer dedicated to traffic enforcement. Yes, it's 1 officer for the greater Upper Ottawa Valley, but they are working a 5-4 schedule and 12 hours. And it's not like a Monday to Friday 8 to 4, because we know traffic happens outside of those hours. So they will be going all over, dedicating time to each community, Pembroke included. And they will be focusing on traffic enforcement, our big 4, our seatbelts, our cell phones. They will be doing ride enforcement. They will also be doing once a month they will be joining forces with MTO and some other partners to complete commercial motor vehicle inspections. We actually had one last week in Pembroke, and it yielded some very, very significant results. So very well done by those officers. So this member will also be contributing to the traffic campaigns and any complaints within the community. So Mackenzie Street, for example, that officer will get assigned to do some patrols and do the enforcement in those areas to hopefully decrease some of those complaints that are coming in. In speaking to RIDE, we were fortunate to get the RIDE grant. It has changed a bit this year. Most years, it is for 1 year and 1 year only. Thankfully, this year, when I applied for it, it was a 4-year grant. So we have been successful in getting it for 4 years. The change that has happened is it is collective to all of the Upper Ottawa Valley. So we have to divide our funding through the municipalities. We have found a strategy of, using the money, trying to base our those specific rides on events that are going on in the community. Different times of the year where we see an increase in that type of enforcement where it's required. Pembroke has already had 2 dedicated to Pembroke itself, and there will be more to come forward. And that is outside of the regular rides that are already being accomplished. Another priority is community engagement. I know that that's a priority of this board, and foot patrols have been a priority, and you'll see with the stats that continued progression is happening. I want to evolve that forward, expand on it, and I want to get our members back to our schools, to different places like the arena, for example. I know there was an issue during the cold. We had officers start doing some foot patrols in the arena. I want to see officers getting back into the schools. So what we are doing now is it was happening before, but we're going to have a greater presence going into the schools, making it a priority, having officers in there, interacting with the kids, building that relationship, before it comes to something different, essentially, like wanting to bridge that gap between police and our youth. So you will see cruisers at schools more prominently. It's not a bad thing. It is. And then just one last piece is data integrity. I know the communities just received their billing, and I know it is a big feat on the communities right now, is the billing, and our objective right now is to ensure that our data that's going into the system for billing purposes is as accurate as we can be. We're all human error occurs, but we are definitely putting a stronger emphasis on that and reviewing a lot of data integrity is happening right now, just to ensure that everything is being captured properly. What you will see when I do flip over the stats here momentarily, that some of the stuff is data integrity related, and we're working to fix those things. Is there any questions before I jump over to the stats? Yes, Christine?
It's just a curiosity, when you're talking about the 2 officers that have been assigned with the offenders. So we've got 2 officers. What's the greatest number that we're talking of people that will need to be monitored? If you can answer,
I don't have that answer, and it's going to fluctuate quite consistently with new people being added, others being removed. We're more centralized here, yes. Our outlying communities don't have as significant as amount, but I can't give you a specific number, but like I said, it will fluctuate here and there.
So when it comes to the bail reform, so we're gonna dedicate 2 officers to monitoring. What do we hope to get out of that program? Because and correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding of the justice system, like if they go to court, unless there's a reason to hold them, they're going to be out on bail until their next appearance. If they, for some reason, don't show up to their next appearance, or they break one of their conditions of release, they're just going to go back. They're going to get another kind of condition until it gets to the point where they have to be held.
You've answered the question yourself.
Okay. So it's just to help keep it accountable.
Absolutely, you just used the words, the accountability piece, right? If we don't continue to monitor these people, and if they're going to continue to breach, then we're going to keep putting them back in the court system until the court system says you need to be held.
So the hope is that if we keep putting them back, it will increase the likelihood that they get held.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
If I can, on that piece, years ago, it was Justice Bradley Walters was a judge at the time, and what he would say, he was angling at probation officers, but it's still relevant in the sense that he would say, breach them again, and because what he was looking for is longer jail sentences. They need to get the message, and they're not getting the message. So if they're not being found or whatnot, like it wouldn't be the first time that I see, whether on social media or whatever, so-and-so being charged with certain types of these charges, and they're like, see, look at the system is failing. And it's like, well, but you gotta keep charging them so that the court system gets it and appropriately hands out sentences that are appropriate in the circumstances. So I have absolutely no issue with it. When you mentioned about the officers being replaced, and I know that you had said to us the other day, what number of officers are we looking at in terms of, and I'm not looking for total complement in the municipality or anything like that, because I know you can't tell us that, but how many new officers are we looking at?
Great, thank you for that. That's something I did miss. So we will have two to replace these officers, two positions to replace these officers. And we've been very fortunate. We actually have 4 new recruits coming in next week, I believe, 2 weeks. 4 new recruits. So 6 new in total to the Greater Upper Ottawa Valley, and 4 of those are coming to Pembroke. Yeah, and that there is forecasted to be more. We just haven't had the numbers for the next classes to come. So yeah, it's very, very positive. Okay, if there's no more questions, I will just go over, I won't dive too in depth, but I will go over some of the key points that I've pulled out, and if there's any points that you want clarity on, please stop me and we'll go over them. So right off on the first page, you can see that there's a significant increase in property damage collisions and non-fatal collisions. Winter came early this year. Mother Nature hasn't been friendly. The snow has contributed to our collisions. That's the reality. We'll skip over the next page. Over to the charges laid. Already, you can see an increase in our criminal code traffic and our Highway Traffic Act charges, quite for this quarter and year to date. So the enforcement efforts are already starting, and my hope is that you will see that number continue to rise. When we move down to the traffic-related section, unfortunately, impaireds are on the rise. Our officers are obviously doing their due diligence to get out there. The ride enforcement that we're doing is obviously capturing it. Unfortunate that it is rising in that nature. I'll skip over. I mean, the warnings, those are growing pains, but as you can see, as did the traffic enforcement, the tickets increased, so did the warnings as well. To our violent crime side, the one thing that's jumping out at me, unfortunately, is that our sexual offenses have gone up for that quarter as well as year to date. Is that more happening? Possibly. Is that more people are feeling comfortable reporting to the police? That's also another situation as well. We do have our domestic abuse investigators in place, so to help with these investigations. So hopefully, working with our victims. Property crime, continued overall decrease in property crime. I think that was similar to the last quarter as well. Same with year to date. Over to drug crime. For year to date, we saw a 40% decrease in violations. Year to date, we did see in the trafficking section an 83% increase, but I will take your mind back to some of the warrants that were executed, some of that would contribute to those trafficking charges. So unfortunate but positive that the charges have been laid. So other crime occurrences. So when I was speaking about OMAP, where you will see the change if there is the bail violation charges laid is in the other category under the other crime occurrences section. that is where that will appear. So right now, we are down by 22.8%. So my guess is that likely there's obviously growing pains with getting the 2 officers in. There's some training and different things that have to happen first to get them up to speed with where they need to be. So maybe not in the next quarter, but certainly going forward, you should see a change there. Flipping over to clearance rates, that's the data integrity piece. We have a bit of work to do for sure. We have identified the issues, and we have officers dedicated to working through and filtering through that data. I will skip over to the following page. Public complaints pretty much at par. And if you draw your attention down to daily activity reporting, so draw your attention specifically to cruiser patrols. 2024, 298 hours, 2025, 830. It's a big difference. It's because it's the data integrity piece. People are properly reporting, so you can see that we are active in the community, and it's now properly being reflected. Foot patrol, continued increase as well. Youth charges are down overall. Mental health occurrences for this quarter and year-to-date are essentially on par. Our MCERT unit is doing a fantastic job working in the community, and certainly can see the efforts that they are putting forward that are working. Overdoses, unfortunately, we made it to the end of the year and ended up with 1 fatal overdose. But as a whole, our occurrences are down significantly from 2024, like year-to-date. Referrals to victim service, again, on par for most years. Actually, the nice part is year-to-date, we're seeing more people accepting those services, so that's important for us. And that is all I have on the stats. Are there any questions?
Questions from members of the board? Seeing none, just to make a comment in terms of the overdose statistics, and I recognize that the statistics for the OPP on overdoses doesn't align perfectly, let's put it that way, in terms of other areas, in terms of overdoses, whether it's the hospital or so forth, but the trend, knock on wood, the trend is the same. When I get stats, when I go to Renfrew County and I sit on their community services committee and so forth, that is the trend as a result of, I'm not even going to go on and on about all the different things that we've implemented since 2024 to try and get ahead of this or deal with this. But I firmly believe what your stats are, because they coincide with, they may not be the same numbers, but they coincide with what you see at the county. And I recognize not everyone calls the OPP when there's an overdose from an opioid, so, and as a result, your stats would reflect when you're called, but I know that the paramedics get called at different instances, but the trend is there, which is very nice to see.
Absolutely. Thank you. If there's no other questions, I'm just going to pass it over to Staff Sergeant Davenport. She's just going to hit on a few key highlights.
Thank you, Inspector. So there's just a few things that I wanted to highlight going back to the last quarter. So first, it'll bring us back to the Thanksgiving long weekend. So there's a focus on the big 4 factors, which are distracted driving, speeding, aggressive driving, impaired driving, and lack of occupant restraint. So the Upper Ottawa Valley OPP in total had laid 26 speeding charges, as well as other provincial offenses notice. But what I wanted to bring note to was that out of that weekend, 3 impaired driving charges were laid, 3 of them within the city of Pembroke. As well as just a couple days later, there was another impaired driving as well as stunt driving. So I just wanted to highlight the work that we're doing focusing on traffic safety as well as public safety, and the fact that we're committed within the city of Pembroke as well and achieving results out there, being focused on that. Another separate incident, which brings us back to, again, in October, there was a large-scale commercial break and enter. It resulted in, so obviously within the city of Pembroke, it resulted in 5 people being charged and also $20,000 worth of stolen property being recovered. And again, that was within the city of Pembroke, and our response to that was we were able to make those arrests and recover that property. And finally, I just wanted to bring it to community engagement and involvement, the OPP Stuff a Cruiser results. So yes, again, this was Upper Ottawa Valley detachment-wide. However, 3 locations were specific to the city of Pembroke, which was Metro, Giant Tiger, and No Frills. The event raised over $4,900 in cash, as well as over $4,100 pounds of food. This donations went directly to the local Kiwanis Club Toy Drive, St. Joseph's Food Bank in Pembroke, as well as the Petawawa Pantry. So just our dedication also that our officers are showing, as well as the community, to improving that, the community and our involvement within it, so. Off to you, Inspector.
That's fabulous. Any questions or comments from board members for either of them? Nope. Well, thank you very much for, that's fabulous news. Okay. Moving on to 8B, so oral report in terms of community watch meetings and updates and so forth. There tentatively is scheduled April 20th, so if you want to mark your calendars, anyone's obviously welcome to attend, 7 p.m. Right now, we're trying to have it located at the Pembroke Fire Hall. The challenge with the Pembroke Fire Hall is it's a fire hall. And so if there is a call out, everyone needs to leave because all the fire captains and so forth, the firefighters leave. And so together with the deputy mayor, we're trying to work at having another location, but then budget always becomes an issue. And as we know at this board, our board is the one that financially supports the Community Watch program. And so it's trying to balance those two and finding a location that's, number one, got sufficient size, and number two, is affordable to be able to do it. So the fire hall, the city of Pembroke, typically, even though it's not a City of Pembroke function or a City of Pembroke committee, does not generally charge, but that is the issue. And I know at the last one, I'm looking at Mike, because Mike generally attends them. At the last one, I believe, it's just when we got to the end, it was the alarm went off, and it's like, get out. So that's the situation with the fire hall. So in any event, and I can certainly fire off something to you when we definitely have it firmed up, but if you tentatively put it in your schedules for April 20th at 7 p.m., that's the one to cover all zones inside the city. Recently, we had I wouldn't call it a community, well, the deputy mayor would disagree. He'd call it a community watch meeting. I wouldn't call it a community watch meeting. It was more of a meeting with 260 Elizabeth Street and the challenges there. So it's unique in the sense that that particular watch is not only that building, but the zone, the residents around it. And so if you can picture any one of our streets, if you're in a zone, it's usually a mix of residential that people own, maybe they rent, but in that particular zone, it's primarily individuals who are renting, it's Renfrew County housing, and so there's complexity there in terms of some of the challenges are more landlord-tenant issues rather than community watch issues, and so it makes the dynamics a little more challenging. There's representation comes from the county, and we have discussions about some things that are watch-oriented and some things that aren't watch-oriented, and work our way through it for the benefit of the community. So we recently had that one. I'd say progress is being made, but like a lot of things, sometimes it's small wins, and you have to keep trying to get small wins, and sometimes there isn't just an overall huge win, like eradication of crime or something. But in any event, so if you wanted to diarize that date, I'm not aware of any particular new zones coming online. Again, we continue to encourage the public that if you want to have a zone, try to get 50% plus one in your area, whatever it is that you're identifying as an area, a street, a block, 2 blocks, whatever it is, and to go from there. And I know that it's seemingly productive in the sense that some of the zones has generated some information that is, I believe, and I'm not looking for confirmation, of assistance to the OPP in terms of being the eyes and the ears and continually pounding it at them as to the difference between 911 and the non-emergent line. So we have that piece there. Next one is we have a report from Madam Clerk on Crime Stoppers.
The one microphone that didn't get turned on. Okay. Thank you, Chair. So in front of you, you have a brief report on a Crime Stoppers support request. This was received to myself, the recording secretary, after our last meeting in 2025. So you're seeing it on this agenda today. So a very brief highlight of what Crime Stoppers Renfrew County does. The program provides a platform for the public to submit tips about crimes, and the information is forwarded to the police, but the tipster remains anonymous. Sometimes, depending on the tip and result of said tip, they can receive a cash reward of up to $2,000. And the program cannot function without government funding and without a community awareness and community commitment to the funds that cover the expense to pay the rewards. So the correspondence outlined that they're looking to receive any donations that may be acceptable to the board. They did state a certain dollar amount of $1,000, but did say anything will help fund their program. They're looking to promote partnerships to operate the program and further promote awareness within the community. So I also wanted to highlight, as in the report that was brought forward to the board in July of 2025, the City of Pembroke doesn't actually, or through the PSB or the city, doesn't actually donate funds per se as of now, but we do provide a number of partnership collaboration activities that we do to support Crime Stoppers. So one outlined is public education partnerships. The Crime Stoppers information is included in the Pembroke tax bills to further promote to residents their services, and also on social media on our platforms that way. And community watch meetings attended by representatives from the city and PSB. And we also share material on the PSB's Facebook website. That would be done by myself. And I do my best to, on a weekly, bi-weekly basis, go on their their Crime Stoppers website or Facebook and share with on ours to help our followers get their information as well. So you'll see in the financial comment section that the Pembroke Police Service Board has a public relations budget line with $3,500. This is earmarked for public relations. This is where something like this, if the board was looking to provide direction to provide a donation, that's where that line would be drawn from. And in the recommendation, I have selected 2 options that the PSB board can choose from today or open to an alternative option. Just wanted to provide a framework for discussion today. Number 1 would be to provide a donation in the amount of blank in support of Renfrew County Crime Stoppers, or receive this report as information and knowing we do our best to support at the other outlined collaboration activities. So on that note, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I will direct it back to the chair.
Any questions or comments for the clerk in respect to this item? Yeah, Madam Clerk.
Sorry, I did forget to add in the financial section, through that public relations budget, the PSB has historically, from the time I've started here, which is almost 2 years ago, but does donate to the Kibs and Cops Fishing Derby out of there in amounts ranging from $250 to $500 on an annual basis. So that's really the only thing in public relations that's a constant out of that line, but we certainly do use that line throughout the year to help with public relations items for PSB.
Victoria, would that be used in radio ads and so on and so forth that we produce?
That amount is also in the line. However, it's been earmarked, like the 3,500 is not counting the radio public service announcement ads.
Christine?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, at this point, I think I'd be willing to make a motion that we contribute $500 to the organization and keep on with our collaboration efforts. I think it's a very strong partnership, and I think that if the municipality and our police service board were to you know, give a donation, that other municipalities, other boards may in turn do the same. So just to start the conversation, I do make the motion for $500.
Thank you, Christine. Is there a seconder? Seconded by Mike. Any other discussion on this motion? Yeah, Madam Clerk?
Just to speak to your point, Christine, would you like a direction to share this motion with the other police service boards within the county?
Absolutely, we
Okay,
can
I'll
include that.
I'll add that
Yes,
in.
thank you.
Okay.
So if there's no other discussion, I'll call the question on that motion. Those in favor? Against? It's carried. Thank you. I don't, before I move on, and sometimes trying to put together the agenda, is there any other, I'll throw it in here, we're pretty informal, is there any other board members that want to bring forward anything under new business that, in terms of relevant to Police Service Board, but shoot, Mike?
One item we have here, you'll probably see this at your office. Chief Sally said he might be stopping off.
Actually,
Oh, you had it already?
actually,
Sorry.
Staff Sergeant Davenport just advised that an email had just gone out today. I've been on the road traveling, to all of our officers to keep these with them and utilize them at rides and different programs that they're doing. So yes.
Last time we had set a number of different dates, but Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. So I do have marked down, there was a little bit of uncertainty with some of the dates presented in the report. So I'll just head it off by May 20th at 1 p.m. was the next recommended date, just based on where it falls in the calendar, the availability of stats. We like to kind of keep it to the end of the month to allow for the statistics to come through in the OPP system. So if that is a working date as of now, I can set it and put it online.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd just
Yeah,
like to ask,
Mike?
Sarah, do you know if the Kids and Cops Fishing Derby will be going on again this year?
I would hope so, and we will engage with Sean Peaver for that and
Okay.
see where we're at.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
I should have brought it up at the beginning. I wanted to follow up and see if that letter was sent to the other boards in regards to having more resources brought forward from the last meeting.
So I will check with the clerk after. I recall what you're saying. I'd have to go back and see whether it got sent or not, but I understand. And so I'll follow up on that one. Is there anything else before I call for a motion to adjourn? Nope. Call the motion for adjourn. Is there, okay, moved by Mike, seconded by Christine. Those in favor? That is carried. We are adjourned. Thank you.